Open a dating app at lunch and again at midnight, and watch how the room seems to change around you, even if your face, bio, and intentions stayed the same. One version of you gets shown to people who are awake, swiping, and ready to reply, while the other version drifts past tired thumbs and dead accounts like a flyer pinned to a locked door. That difference matters because people waste money on boosts, lose weeks blaming their cheekbones, and let a score talk to their self-worth. What most people call a swipe score is usually not a secret beauty grade. It is closer to a party host trying to predict which introductions will turn into a match, a reply, and maybe a date. Picture that host standing at the door with a clipboard. The host is not asking who is the most beautiful person in the city. The host is asking who is here right now, who tends to like each other, who actually talks after matching, and which profiles make people stop long enough to feel curious instead of confused. Tinder has said openly that its old ELO style score is gone, and that the biggest thing improving match potential is simply using the app. Hinge is equally direct that it profiles recent activity, preferences, likes, skips, matches, and similar patterns to decide who is likely to connect. Once you see the clipboard clearly, the mystery starts shrinking fast for most people. Imagine two profiles with equally good photos and equally decent bios. One person opens the app regularly, swipes with some care, and shows up while other people nearby are also active. The other person disappears for days, returns in bursts, and expects the app to remember them. Tinder says active users, especially people active at the same time, are more likely to be surfaced because inactive profiles waste everyone else's attention. That means the biggest boost is often boring rather than glamorous. It is consistency that keeps the host treating you like a live option. If you want the host to keep bringing you into the room, you have to keep showing up where the room is still alive. Now for the part people feel in their gut before they can explain it. Picture a first photo that is dim, cropped badly, and emotionally blank, sitting next to a first photo with clear light, open posture, and a face that looks easy to trust. Before anyone reads a single line, a huge amount of the outcome is already bending in one direction. A recent conjoint study of swipe decisions found that physical attractiveness had a much larger effect than biography, job, intelligence, or similarity. Newer experiments on Tinder-style profiles also suggest that richer visual cues, like stronger image sets and more vivid presentation, improve profile assessment and dating intention. Try a quick test on yourself and shrink your main photo in your mind until it is barely a thumb-sized square. If warmth, energy, and clarity disappear, your score probably drops before your story gets a hearing. That does not mean the app is measuring only classic beauty. Readability, trust, and vibe all matter almost immediately in that tiny first frame. A face that looks clear, present, and socially legible in a tiny frame often beats a technically better face hidden behind sunglasses, shadows, or five friends at a bar. This is why someone with less dramatic looks can quietly outperform a more magnetic person online with cleaner signals. The host with the clipboard is making fast guesses under bad lighting, and your pictures are the loudest clues in the room. But there is a trap waiting here, because the same instinct that pushes people to polish their photos can push them past believable. Think about the strange disappointment of meeting someone who looked almost right online and somehow wrong in person. Research on online dating photos has found that many images are judged as less than fully accurate, especially when they are older, heavily retouched, or styled to hide obvious cues. That matters because attraction is not only about getting through the first door, it is also about surviving the second one. Hinge now builds prompt feedback around helping people show a more authentic self, which is a quiet admission that polished emptiness stops working after the first glance. A flattering photo helps, but a flattering photo that feels honest helps more because the host is not only predicting who gets liked, but who avoids collapse after the reveal. Here is another quick test that usually stings a little. Read your own bio in the voice of a stranger who has seen 50 versions of brunch, travel, sarcasm, and good vibes before breakfast. Does anything in it create a real picture, or does it slide off the mind like soap? Text rarely beats photos in the opening second, but it matters once you are close enough to earn curiosity. Tinder says interest and lifestyle details help shape recommendations. Hinge says completed prompts can earn feedback meant to drive more likes, matches, and dates. In plain language, the host likes profiles that give other people something easy to grab onto. Specificity beats generic polish because it turns a flat card into a person. Now picture two different swiping habits. One person taps yes on almost everyone while half watching a show, then wonders why the feed feels random and the matches feel thin. Another person slows down, notices patterns, and uses likes like actual signals instead of confetti. No company hands us the full formula, so anyone claiming to know the exact recipe is pretending. Still, the official pieces from these apps line up in the same direction. Tinder says likes and nopes help shape what appears next. Hinge says its strongest recommendations draw on deal breakers, recent activity, and shared patterns in who you and other people tend to like. That strongly suggests your behavior trains the host. Chaotic swiping gives the system noisy information, while deliberate swiping gives it a cleaner map of where to place you. The last twist is where many people quietly lose the game after winning the match. Picture an inbox with a pile of dead conversations, each one ending after a single wave or a lazy heart emoji. The app sees motion without momentum. Hinge has said directly that it uses signals like who you match with and who you exchange phone numbers with. And it introduced reply limits because testing showed that pushing people to answer increased responses. That tells you something important about what the apps actually reward. Outcomes are not just about getting seen online in the first place. Outcomes are also about what happens after contact. A profile that earns fewer matches but better conversations can be performing better than a profile that hoards attention and goes nowhere. I think about a woman I will call Maya, sitting on her couch after work with a feed full of people who looked vaguely interchangeable. She changed nothing dramatic. She replaced her first photo with one where her eyes were visible and her smile looked unforced. She cut mushy lines from her profile and replaced them with one detail about waking up early for flea markets and one about making terrible but enthusiastic pasta. Then she started using the app in shorter, more regular windows and stopped matching with people she had no intention of answering. The result was not instant movie magic, but the room simply got less noisy. Better conversations showed up faster because the host had better clues. So what actually boosts outcomes most once the mystery starts to clear? Usually not the mythic hidden number people obsess over. The biggest lifts tend to come from steady activity, strong and believable photos, a profile specific enough to spark an opening line. Selective swiping that teaches the system something real and actual, follow through once a match appears. The swipe score is not a tattoo on your forehead. It is a moving estimate of how likely you are to create a good handoff. Return to that first image of opening the app at lunch and near midnight. The face did not change, but the surrounding signals changed with it. On dating apps, the score is rarely judging your worth as a person. It is mostly judging your likelihood of becoming a live conversation.